What's up, everybody? My name is MattyTingles. Welcome back to the channel. This is what they don't tell you about being a YouTuber. Okay, so today's video, like I said, is going to be what they don't tell you about being a YouTuber. And I used to watch these videos all of the time. I loved them because I think the best way to learn is from people who have gone through it, right? And it seemed like you guys really liked the last one about buying a house, kind of a sit, chat, talk about things, and give some advice. So today's video is gonna be for anyone. It's gonna be for people who wanna start a channel. It's gonna be for people who already have a channel. It's for everyone on the whole spectrum, because I have 5 things that I've came up with that they don't tell you when you want to be a YouTuber. I think that a lot of people look at it being a YouTuber as the dream job, right? You get the fame, you get, if you work really hard and get lucky, you get great money. You know, you're on your own schedule, you get to make cool things, you get to go do cool things. And all of that is true. But I have compiled 5 things that they don't tell you. So let's just get right to it. Number 1, it is not a 9-to-5 job. It is an all-the-time job, and I will explain. So most people who aren't a YouTuber think, man, it must be so cool to be a YouTuber. You're on your own time. You just get to make videos when you want. And part of that is true, but it's the classic, it's the things off camera that you don't see where the real work is, right? So for me, it's a lot of the time is on concepts and planning, right? So let's say, for instance, a lot of you here are from the ASMR channel, right? And you know me for the shoe collections, right? So you think, oh, he just grabs some shoes, taps on them, and talks about them. But really, it's picking out what shoes I want to go get. It's tracking those shoes down, which can take days. It's getting them here. If I have to go somewhere and pick them up, that's, you know, that's half a day errand, right? And then once I get them, it's researching each shoe and making a whole list of things that I know about the shoe, right? And then I put a little thing below the camera for notes, and that's half a day of writing notes for it, you know? So just from my personal experience, just the concepts and planning take a long time, right? It's not like we just turn the camera on and know what we're doing and have everything for it, right? Which brings me to the next part, props. Especially for what I do, and for most YouTubers, there's gonna be props or equipment, right? Cameras, lights, mics, cables, batteries, all of that stuff are things that you have to think of, right? So when you're doing a video, for me, it's a lot of prop shopping. It's a lot of like, okay, I'm gonna do this video in 2 weeks, so I need to start ordering stuff for it now, right? Which is kind of always on your mind. And then as far as ideas, for me, they come at any time. So like there's really not a time where I'm turning it off. And honestly, I just hired a personal assistant, and he, after like a couple weeks, he's like, I cannot believe you did this all by yourself, because it's a lot. And now he's seeing that it's not 9 to 5 at 5 o'clock. I can just turn it off like a normal job. It's all the time. I'm thinking of ideas, I'm making notes, I'm building props, I'm getting new equipment, I'm planning stuff. And then it's like social media, you got to keep up with that, right? And you got to keep up with trends, and it's just something that people don't think about. It is an all the time job. I think that taking breaks are good, but even that, like, I haven't taken a break for 5 years, because even when I go on vacation, guess what I'm doing? I'm shooting vlogs and editing them and making thumbnails and creating, right? And then speaking of editing, editing's a big one, right? So like some people hire an editor and they're lucky enough to be able to afford hiring an editor, which is awesome, but the editing takes a long time, right? So if I have, so these vlogs, for instance, right? So this video, I'm gonna guess, is gonna be 15 minutes. I'll probably have 40 minutes of footage, right? So then you have to go through and cut that down, make sure the audio's right, and then you gotta take a thumbnail, right? And then you have to make sure that's the right dimension and make the thumbnail, which is something you're always thinking about, because, and I learned that from Mr. Beast. He said, like, the thumbnail is so important, and it is. And then it's like, what am I gonna call the video? What am I gonna title it? What are the tags I'm gonna put in? These are all things that you're learning and you're seeing every day, which is like a big part of being a YouTuber, is watching YouTube, right? And seeing what people are doing and how they're doing it, because it's always changing, and we'll get to that. And then we haven't even gotten into analytics, right? Which are numbers, right? That these are the results of your work on YouTube. And honestly, I could make a whole nother video about analytics. You know, you got to know when to post. You got to look at your analytics and say, oh, all right, so my videos work the best at 3:10 p.m. on Tuesdays, you know, and that'll always change. So you got to keep up with that. And then a lot of it is just mentally, like comparing yourself to others, right? So if someone I look up to is like, oh, they're posting 3 videos a week now, then I'm like, okay, got to step it up. And then that's a whole nother process. You know what I mean? Anyway, it is not a 9-to-5 job. I promise you, there's not one YouTuber who's not constantly thinking about what to make next, how to make it, and what they need to make it, all of that. It just does not stop. And especially for an ASMR artist, like if I go to a store, guess what I'm doing with everything that I see? Oh, I'm at Apple. I wonder, see what I'm saying? Everybody's. It's not a 9-to-5. That is number 1. Okay, so the number 2 thing that they don't tell you about being a YouTuber is income. Income can be inconsistent, okay? In the last video, I talked a little bit about CPM and how YouTubers are paid. But my point here is, unlike a 9-to-5 job, there is not a set salary, right? And so I truly think to be a YouTuber, you have to be a certain personality type, because I have friends that would hate this. I have friends that are like, I need the 9-to-5. I need to know exactly how much I'm going to make every month and have that security, right? Which I've done, of course, before with other jobs. My problem with that is, and this is just my personality type, is that gives me a ceiling. That's saying, okay, here's my salary. I'm going to make exactly this much this month, and there's no way to make more, right? And even with a raise or whatever, you know, that's going to be pretty minuscule. So I personally like the risk of maybe it's down one month, but then maybe it's huge the next month. My personality is perfect for that. Again, there's no hourly rate, right? There's no salary, so it can be inconsistent. So again, I'll go over really quick. CPM is how much a YouTuber gets paid per 1,000 views. So again, if you make $4, if your CPM is $4 and you get 1,000 views, you just made $4. If your CPM is $4 and you hit 1 million views, that's $4,000. Okay, so CPM is super important. Again, my point is that it can be inconsistent. The big part of this is quarters of the year. So ask any YouTuber in the world, they'll tell you the first quarter is always really rough. And by rough, I mean, if you're successful, you're still making way more than you would at a normal job, sure. That first quarter is really bad, and I'll explain why. So the fourth quarter is normally the best, and that is because, this all connects to CPM, that is because of Christmas, okay, or the holiday season, okay? And that is because companies put a ton of money into advertising on YouTube. So you can imagine more companies paying for ads on YouTube, those ads that pop up, the more money they're putting in, the more is being dispersed to the creators, right? So the fourth quarter, which we're in right now, which is why there's more videos going up right now, the fourth quarter is always the best of the whole year because there's just more ad revenue to go around. That being said, the first quarter is always the worst because everyone spent all their money. It's, you know, that sounds drastic, but it's not. Ask any YouTuber, first quarter normally sucks. Other reasons that it can be inconsistent are, you know, if let's say you stop uploading. If you're not uploading consistently, the algorithm is not going to hit, most likely. We'll get to that. And especially if you're in the ASMR community, you could be demonetized, which means that YouTube will say, hey, your video is not suitable for ads because most of the time they're wrong and there's no reason. But then they'll demonetize the video, meaning you can't make money off that video. There's a lot of reasons why it can be inconsistent, but that is a fact. It is not a set salary. And for some people, that can be scary. But for other people, that's the dream, because that means that if you work really hard, you should be rewarded for that work, and there's no ceiling. It can be as big as you want. And I love that. I should add really quick, once you get some success, definitely the way to supplement YouTube being up and down is brand deals. Like if you can get consistent brand deals, that will keep you here. And again, I talked about it last video. If you get some brand deals, try to talk them into doing 3-month, 6-month, 12-month contracts, because then that's kind of like a salary. Then you know, okay, well, at least I'm getting that. All right, number 3 is the algorithm. Now, the algorithm, if you don't know, is basically a bot or millions of bots or thousands, who knows how it works, that Google runs. And the algorithm is basically in charge of saying, hey, we're going to show your video to people or not. I bring this part up because every YouTuber thinks about the algorithm. Every the YouTuber thinks they have it figured out. And the simple fact is no one knows how it works, because if we knew how it worked, we would do it every time and we would get millions of views on every single video, right? And it's always changing. So here's what I do know about the algorithm. One, no one knows what we're talking about. And two, I worked at an advertising firm that worked directly with Google for that. And we actually met with Google. This is before I had the YouTubes. We actually met with them and they said, there is 10,000 things that go in the algorithm. We're gonna give you guys 10. Out of the 10 they gave us, like 8 of them were common sense. They were like, use a good thumbnail. So I put the algorithm on here because I think mentally it's very frustrating for every creator because we don't know how it works. It's confusing. We don't know if what we're doing works. The only way we know is to try. And then if the video does well, then we go, oh, that worked. So take some weird mental note of what we did and do that again. And honestly, if you're an analytic person like me, like it can become obsessive about it, right? Like so there's an app called YouTube Studio, which is like for the creators. If you have a channel, you can download it and sign in and it'll show you all your analytics, all of that. I open that thing, let's call it 20 times a day, easily, because I'm obsessive over it. I want to know what's working. I want to know what's going on. So again, I'm putting this on here because the algorithm can be draining. You can feel lost. You can feel out of control. And at the end of the day, it's the game that we have to play, right? It is Google/YouTube's game, and we have to play it. But I do think that this is an unsaid thing that should be on here for what they don't tell you about being a YouTuber, because it is something very important and you have to pay attention to it, but also it's confusing and there's no like confirmation that you know anything. So it's very confusing. Okay, number 4, the fourth thing that they don't tell you about being a YouTuber is dealing with trolls/online hate. Now, I don't think that this is conducive to being a YouTuber, but I do think it's conducive to being an online personality or a public figure. And I think for the most part, this is the hardest part, honestly. I know dozens of creators who have actually quit because they couldn't deal with that. The bottom line is, if you're creating online, or even if you're not creating, if you're just posting photos on Instagram and you become a public figure or you get some sort of following, there's always going to be hate. It's just gonna be there. And it's just how it is. That being said, I do not believe in the whole, it's part of the job, this is what you signed up for kind of thing, because this is where it gets really interesting, because on one hand, yes, it is what we signed up for and we know that it's gonna happen, so deal with it, right? But on the other side, in thinking that makes it sound like it's okay. And it's not. But in reality, it's going to happen and you need to figure out how to deal with it, right? I know people who turn comments off so people can't comment. I know people who just don't read comments. I know people who read every single one. I know for me personally, let's call it 5 death threats a week I get. You know what I mean? And there's always really disrespectful comments, especially on TikTok. TikTok's terrible. If you ever have a video go off on TikTok, don't read the comments, because if there's thousands of them, it's gonna be bad. The good news is with YouTube, you can put keywords in and stuff that you don't want to be seen, but still it's going to happen. And here's my advice. I don't like the saying build thick skin, because again, that's like saying, well, this is what you signed up for, get used to it, because that means that it's okay that they're doing it. But I will give you what has helped me, and that is every single comment. It's 2 things. Every single comment that's bad, one, none of them, and I mean 0% of them, would say it to my face in real life. Promise you. So if you're out there and you're getting bad comments or disrespectful or hate comments or trolls, just know that if you saw them in real life, they're not saying that to you. In fact, I've responded to some comments in the past just as an experiment to see, like, you know, how they would react, and every single time, 100% of the time, they say, oh my God, I can't believe you responded, I'm such a big fan. You know what I mean? Like, they're not that person. They're not that person. Second, if I'm putting you on my therapy couch, realistically, what really helps me is thinking, hey, if they're saying something bad about me, it says a lot about them, okay? They're going through something in life, whether that be at home, at school. You know, if someone's getting made fun of, they're going to go make fun of other people because it makes them feel good for a second. And then there's no repercussions for typing and going, ugh. So if you can just remember that the people who are, everyone's going through things, but it's very helpful to remember that people who say mean things are also going through something in their life as well. Okay, number 5, the last thing that I came up with about what they don't tell you when you're a YouTuber is, with fame and notoriety comes the need for safety. And this is something that you don't necessarily learn until you're there or you watched a video about it. The need for safety in the real world is really real. And some of the best advice that I ever got was, I think GB actually said this to me, was like, even if you're not at 1 million subscribers, act like you are. And that means like, so for instance, posting photos of where you're at, right? So if you watch, I'm gonna give you a great example. So Pokimane, love Poki, met her a few times, she's the greatest. Poki always puts up an apartment tour, okay? But she always puts it up when she moves. See, like you have to be smart about, like, especially once you get some notoriety and fame and success, you have to be smart about posting where you're at. You have to be smart about thinking about where you're filming, right? Like I had a video one time where I accidentally put my street address in the background and someone commented and they were like, hey, this is on there, take it down. And I did. So you just always have to be cognizant of where you're shooting and when and where you post things. So for instance, I'm really bad at this, by the way, but last year with my, at that time, girlfriend, we were at the beach. We got a nice place at the beach and I posted a photo out of the window and it had like a champagne bottle and it was really pretty with the ocean in the background, champagne bottle, you know, and I posted that. And within like a minute, I got a message on Instagram that was like, hey, I know where you're at. I'm actually staying at the same place. Can we hang out? Can we meet up? That's not good. And I will preface this with saying the dude was actually really, really nice and all he wanted was a photo. So what had happened was when I posted the photo, I didn't realize there was a glass in front of the champagne that had the logo of the place we were at, right? And little things like that you don't think of, but you have to be careful, and especially if you're posting it while you're there. I know most people that I know will post, you know, if they post a thing, they're at a restaurant, they'll post it after they leave. But again, these are things they don't tell you, that you don't really think of, right? Other things like Facebook, you know, everything that you've done online has a footprint, right? And honestly, like my advice is, you know, keep your first and last name off the internet, keep your family, keep addresses off, keep phone numbers off, because once you get to a certain point, people will want to know these things. I'm lucky enough to have met hundreds, thousands of people who are fans of mine in real life, and they've all been super cool, super, super nice. And that's awesome. But I also have friends who have been stalked. I have friends who have had to get the police involved because people are showing up at their homes. I don't even have to bring up, like, do you guys remember Christina Grimmie? What happened with her? Like one of my favorite YouTubers, and she got killed at a meet and greet. You just have to be safe. And again, like GB said, great advice. Even if you're not at 1 million subscribers, act like you are. With fame comes the need for safety. Just be very cautious of what you post, where you post, and when you post. All right, so that is 5 things that they don't tell you about being a YouTuber. I love making these videos. Please let me know if you like it by giving it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments. I genuinely love making these, just talking to you guys, giving you some free game. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Let me know what you would like to see. If there's any other things you would like me to delve into. I'm an open book, man. And honestly, I love helping. And if this can help someone out there, if it can save their life, if it can save their mental health, if it can save them time, that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. So anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. I am MattyTingles. I'll see you guys next time. I have a lot of videos coming up. 5 things they don't tell you about being a YouTuber. That's it. All right. See you guys next time. Peace.